Have you ever felt like there's more inside you than the world sees? Like you were created for something greater, but you can't quite put your finger on what that is. If you've ever carried that quiet ache for purpose inside of you, this episode is for you. This is the Quiet Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Oden, and this is where we nurture, inspire, equip, ignite, and educate introverted leaders and business owners just like you who are making waves quietly and with impact. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome to the Quiet Impact Podcast, where we nurture the journey of introverts who desire to achieve greater levels of influence, income, and impact. The go-to podcast for introvert achievers just like you, seeking purpose-driven growth. I am your host, Stephanie Oden. A quiet leader's journey to divine identity. That's what I'm calling this episode. Crazy title, but that's what I'm calling it. Because if you have been in that place where you know you've been created for something greater. I remember. Like you're created for something greater. You can't quite put your finger on what it is. But there's an ache. There's this ache inside of you that you cannot let your life expire without becoming that person. Let me take you back to a moment I stood in front of my mirror, not to check on my reflection, but to check in with me. I wasn't looking at what the world sees, what the world saw. They saw the things. They saw, the six-figure income. They saw the senior leadership role. They saw the corporate professional, which I'm obviously not like right now. For those of you who are listening, I have on a ball cap. I was looking at, well, Stephanie, who are you becoming? And it was at this point for me when I wasn't sure, if I'm going to be honest with you, I really wasn't sure who that person was. We're not shy, timid, or needing to be fixed. We are an introvert, and that is our superpower. Introverted, AFF, absolutely fabulous and feisty. So what did I do when I was at this point that I was like, I know I'm meant for more. I'm not really sure. And that's when I picked up the book by Dr. Myles Munroe, Becoming Who You Were Meant to Be. It was a conversation with myself. It quieted noise. It helped amplify the truth that I knew that God has been whispering all along. I know I've shared my journey is this entwined intelligence, growth in others, and faith walk. And this journey for impact, influence, and income, this journey to leave people better after they've encountered me. And for my fellow introvert achievers, like those of you who are navigating leadership or building your business or trying to stay anchored in your authenticity, this episode is a compass for you. So let me walk through some things that were truths that woke up something in me. They might do the same for you. Number one, purpose precedes creation. You are not random. You are not accidental. You were thought of before time began. I know, huge. Some of you will look at this episode and say, oh, yeah, she's being too religiously. I do make up words. But you know what? If this one isn't for you, there are some other ones that are. But this one is for those that want to lean in, like for real, for real. And let's dig in and realize that you are not accidental. There's only one of you. If you don't do the thing that you were meant to do, then it won't get done. Every thread in your personality, even the quiet parts, they're intentional. And when you walk in that awareness, the insecurity doesn't have the final say. You move differently. There's a certain reverence. There's a glow about you. And you can ask yourself, what might shift if I believed I was validated when I was created? that I was pre-approved by purpose, what might shift? What might shift? Second one, potential is buried treasure. Most of us are sitting on gold mines, like 3 feet from gold that we've never explored. Potential isn't what you've done. It's what's still waiting inside of you that's waiting for a yes. Now, there is this fear that will tell you to bury it. There's this fear of all the things. I've never done it before. What will people say? I should have been here before now. This is kind of scary. Like all the things. But your purpose dares you. Like, poke at it. Let's dig it up. Let's see what we got. Let's see what that treasure is. And the reflection for this one is, what gift have I kept buried because I doubted its value? Oh, I forgot to tell you with this episode, get out your journal, get out some paper, make some notes. What resonates with you? Do something about it. Don't just hear it, do something about it. Lives. And I've had some tragedies. The big tragedies with the losses of people, the tragedies with the loss of relationships, the tragedies with the loss of confidence at times. But tragedy is not the end. The loss doesn't mean that your light is gone. It just means that your story is still unfolding, baby. And I promise you, whatever, and I've lived long enough to realize this, and I've seen it, and have been, it's been tapped into. The pain wasn't wasted. It's woven. It's woven into wisdom, into empathy, into resilience, and the scars. I have a scar on my knee when I was riding my bike as a young girl. We had a gravel driveway, and I was a daredevil, like I rode fast, and I went down. Well, I have a scar on my knee. Scars aren't proof that you're broken. They're evidence that you survived. You want to be able to let your scars be a part of the witness, part of the story. Now, I discovered this in working with one of my mentors, and she said, you want to make sure when you're sharing your story that you're not sharing it from the open wound. You want to share it from the place that the scar is, that where it's been healed, because that's the biggest. Like, you don't want to fake it. You want to have people go with you on the journey, but you don't want to trip anybody else up. So you definitely want to let your scars be your witness. They're proof that you're not broken. They're evidence that you survived. And that's part of you being able to help other people survive. Number 4, you were born to solve a problem. You're not here to compete. You're here to contribute. The world had a need. This is a mic drop right here. I'm not about to drop my podcast mic, but mentally drop a mic, drop a pen, take a note. You're not here to compete. You're here to contribute. The world has a need, and you are the response. The world has a need, and I am a response. Why do I stand so tall and bold and proud and big and all of that when it comes to holding the space for quiet achievers? Because I have been muffled. As a leader, as a business owner, I have been muffled. And not on my watch will anybody else be in that position and not have a space that they can lean into, that they can have a podium and a platform, that they can find their voice and be in that incubator until their voice becomes a roar. The world has a need, and you are heaven's response. Don't shrink. Don't second guess. Ask the question. Before you go to bed every night, ask this question. What problem was I born to solve? What problem was I born to solve? and it will come to you. It doesn't have to be fireworks and all that. It's what problem were you born to solve? The next one, identity is discovered, not invented. The world wants you to brand yourself. God wants you to unearth yourself. God wants you to unravel who you are in Him. As you do that, your authenticity, it doesn't come from a performance. Your authenticity and how you're showing up, it comes from the presence of you being who you are. And that being still, that's why I say get your journal. Being still is a way for you to figure out your identity. Don't be afraid of your own silence, of that silence that you possess, that when you sit in it, you say, you know what? This is it right here. This is who I am. This is who I am. Because you were born with your identity in you. You don't have to invent your identity. You have to uncover it, unravel it, wrap it around yourself like a cape. Your dreams are clues. Those dreams that won't leave you alone. They're not distractions, they're directions. Every time I would encounter a leader and I could spot leadership and the potential in others. It's a weird thing that I do. And I see a person and I'm around them and I see the vision of where they could become. And it wouldn't leave me alone that how can I help them be more of who they were called to be? How can I speak life into? Like how can I speak life into them? Why that happened? Because the dreams wouldn't leave me alone. That became my direction. And I like how this was one of the points that he brought out. Dreams are divine breadcrumbs that leave a trail to what your assignment is. So the question to journal is, what persistent dream have you brushed off as too much? It's too much. I'm too much. Just too much. Because your dreams are clues. Let me say this plainly on the next one. It's easier to stay consistent when you have a why that makes your feet move. Your vision fuels discipline. Your vision, your mental rehearsal, your intention, that place that you want to be, it fuels discipline. And when you have that why that makes your feet move, not the why that makes you cry, like that's part of you want to have a why that you emotionally tap into because that starts a whole thing and your feelings and your words and your thoughts and they all get entangled up in there together and they start to set some things in motion, make your feet move. Discipline without vision feels like duty. Discipline with vision, that's destiny training. Oh my gosh. When he said that, I was like, oh, pin there, baby, pin there. Discipline with vision, that's destiny training. What are your habits? What are your habits building toward? Success without fulfillment is failure. Now, this one, I was like, dude, I know you know all the things. I don't really get it. You got to break this down for me. And here's what I got. I can have the title, I can have the team, I can have the timeline. Oh, yeah, that conversation in the mirror. But my soul was starving. I knew I had missed the mark because it was unrest. Don't chase what works, pursue what matters. When it comes down to it, and I talk about legacy in some other talks that I do, legacy is greater than likes, Peace is greater than popularity. Purpose is greater than applause. Can I say that again? Legacy is greater than likes. Peace is greater than popularity. Purpose is greater than applause. And recently I did a podcast on frequency and how your environment really has the opportunity to shape who you're becoming. And this is also something that was talked about in the book, in that environment shapes becoming. You plant weeds, you get weeds. You can't become a redwood in poisoned soil. Your surroundings either suffocate or support who you're becoming. And I recently did a Bible study on chasing vines and learned a lot about, how grapes go and how they're rooted and can't be too easy for them. They need a little bit of rocky soil because it'll make them dig deeper. Being able to evaluate without guilt, that's that pruning. And ask yourself the question. Like, I've left some good things for some better things because the environment was hindering my growth. It wasn't that they were bad, it's just that they were hindering my growth. They were not helping me to grow. When I evaluated without guilt where I was in the year, and I didn't see where I had grown, that means my growth was hindered. I knew that I needed to change that environment. I knew that. And it was nothing against the person, the program. It was none of that. I just knew that I needed to do something different so that I could shape a different me that was becoming. And I hope that makes sense. Take the question for yourself. Is this environment helping me or is it hindering my growth? Just curious. And the last one I want to share with you and is back on legacy. Legacy is a real measure. It is. When you leave, what you leave in people will outlive what you leave for them. What you pour into people, what you plant into them. Legacy is not found in the bank account. It's found in the belief that you transfer to others and the impact that you plant. Like, I see you. You matter. Your voice matters. Let's elevate it. Let's help you be and do and create more around who you were created to be. And then you can ask yourself as a reflection question, who will be better because I became who I was meant to be? That's a great question. I really, really like that question. Who will be better because I became who I was meant to be? All the conversation around ideal customer, ideal audience, a lot of it comes down to who will be better because I became who I was meant to be. I, I, I'm not doing this for those who it's not for. I'm doing it for the ones that it's for. And with those ones, not everyone, the some ones, the ones who will be better because I became who I was meant to be. And it may not look exactly like you thought it would look. And be willing to flow, navigate, evolve, because and sharing that in the journey. Because one of the things I learned when I started my community, the Introvert Achievers Network, is that it is helpful for the community to see that I have been where they are, and here's things that I did, here's things that you're doing, here's things that we're doing to become who we were meant to be. It's a journey. We're learning. I don't have all the answers. I'm not perfect. I know things. I know a lot of things. I don't know all the things, but I'm willing to share with you the things that I know so that maybe that'll help accelerate your journey. I really like this book. I encourage you, you read it, you add it to your read list. It didn't really give me answers per se, and you can hear that. And in this episode, it didn't really give me answers as much as it gave me better questions to ask myself. It's not always about doing more, and I've said this on more than one podcast, and I've had guests talk about this too. For quiet achievers, a lot of times for us, it's about becoming more aligned, more aware, and more authentically you. So if you're listening in your car, if you're walking in the neighborhood, if you're sitting quietly at your desk, know this. There's more in you. There is more in you. It doesn't have to be loud, but it's deep. It doesn't have to be showy, but baby, it's strong. You're not behind. Nope. You are becoming. You know, what I wanted you to do today is I want you to take a moment and journal from this episode and listen to what is the quietest truth that you've been ignoring about who you've been called to be. Just listen and sit in it for a moment. And then take one aligned action this week. One step towards the version of you that's already waiting in the wings. You were never meant to simply exist. You were meant to become. Stay anchored like that sailboat anchor. You're on course. You know where you're going. Stay aligned. Stay in your zone of being who you are becoming. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on this episode, different from other episodes, sharing insights from what I got from Dr. Myles Munroe. And I would love to hear that. And if you've listened to other things that he's done, drop those in the comments. I would love to see what you're listening to when it comes to what he's put out there. That's it for today. Take care. That's it for this episode of the Quiet Impact Podcast. Thank you for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Let me know any insights that you had from this episode. I would love to hear your takeaways. Remember to head to my website, grab a copy of the Success Pillars for Quiet Achievers. It's a resource I created for you. And join us next week. Thank you for watching, listening, and subscribing. See you next time.